an immigration. This is my ID. This is my ID.
And
give me the right. No,
you don't have the right.
Come and take advantage. No, you are not an immigration. Are you immigration?
Yes, I'm here. I am whether you like it or not, you can say that. It's fine. And they change. Yes, you're not going to enter here. You're not going to enter here.
Diplomatically. By now, the High Commission of South Africa in Ghana must be answering to us. Why South Africans living in Ghana must live in this country? But should it be an eye for an eye? It has to be. As far back as 1960s, Kwame Nkrumah gave our money to the arm wing of ANC. That money could have been used to develop Ghana. Mandela was the one that was coming to this country to collect that money. Look, this economic Ghana is held by South African businesses. They make so much money from this country.
Stop.
Hello and welcome back to South Africa Simplified. Today, we'll be discussing the ongoing issues unfolding across our country and breaking down what's really happening. But before we begin, if you value clear and insightful coverage of South African current affairs, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue creating more in-depth content like this for you. Thank you. Now, let's get into today's story. Right now, in 2026, the streets of Durban, East London, Cape Town, and KwaZulu-Natal are on fire. Not from a war with a foreign nation, but from something far more troubling. South Africans are now attacking their own African brothers and sisters. Ghanaians, Nigerians, Zimbabweans, Malawians. People who came to South Africa to survive, being dragged from hospitals, having their shops looted, their homes destroyed, their lives threatened. But here is the question nobody wants to ask out loud. Are foreigners really the problem? Or is someone using them as a distraction? Stay with us. Because what we are about to show you may change everything you thought you knew. Let's start with the facts of what is currently happening on the ground. In April 2026, a wave of violent anti-foreigner attacks swept through multiple South African cities. In Durban's central business district, hundreds of businesses were forced to shut down as mobs targeted shops owned by foreign nationals. The Durban Central Concerned Business Group declared, and I quote, "A collapse of law and order." Eyewitnesses reported that mobs entered hospitals to drag out foreign nationals who were seeking medical treatment. Cars, homes, and apartments belonging to foreigners were ransacked and destroyed. A viral video showing a Nigerian trader being confronted and ordered to leave the country sparked international outrage. Ghana's Foreign Affairs Minister summoned South Africa's ambassador and demanded intervention. Nigeria's government warned its citizens to temporarily close their businesses and avoid confrontation. The attacks have targeted Ghanaians, Nigerians, Zimbabweans, and other African nationals, people who, in many cases, have lived in South Africa legally for years. South Africa's acting police minister, Firos Kokelia, was forced to publicly condemn the attacks, calling them unlawful and saying they stood in direct opposition to the values of dignity and equality. So how did it get to this point? To understand the xenophobia, we first need to understand what South Africans are being told about foreigners. The accusations are familiar: foreigners are stealing jobs. Foreigners are selling drugs. Foreigners are coming here, marrying our women, and abandoning them with children. Foreigners are flooding our hospitals and schools. Groups like Operation Dudula, whose name literally means force out in Zulu, have marched through neighborhoods, blockaded clinics, and campaigned to ban foreign children from public schools. These are powerful narratives. Emotional narratives. And when people are suffering, they want someone to blame. But here is what the data actually says. Let's look at the crime narrative first, because this is the most dangerous lie. Research from South Africa's own academic institutions shows that the link between foreigners and crime is not supported by evidence. A study published on the relationship between migrants and crime in South Africa found that migrants showed only a weak association with criminal behavior, and that other factors like social networks, cultural integration, and individual economic circumstances were far more influential. Even more damning, crime statistics in South Africa show that undocumented foreigners make up only about 2.3% of the prison population, and they are actually less likely to be convicted of serious offenses than citizens. Yet they are disproportionately targeted by both mobs and police. Now let's talk about the real driver of South Africa's crime crisis. According to official South African Police Service statistics released in early 2026, in just 3 months, October to December 2025, South Africa recorded 6,953 murders. That is an average of 76 people killed every single day. Over 11,000 rapes. Nearly 50,000 cases of serious assault. These numbers are catastrophic. And here is the key question. Did foreigners cause this? Or did something else? The South African Federation of Trade Unions gave us the answer plainly. They said, and this is important, crime is a symptom of systemic economic failure. South Africa has over 12.4 million people excluded from employment. The official unemployment rate sits above 32%. Youth unemployment is even higher. Hundreds of thousands of young people complete school each year with no pathway to employment or further education. These young people, with no income and no hope, become easy recruits for criminal gangs. This is what drives crime in South Africa. Not a Ghanaian selling tomatoes in the market. So if foreigners are not the cause, what then is behind South Africa's collapse in living standards? Let's be honest. South Africa is a country still deeply scarred by the legacy of apartheid. But in the 30 years since democracy, successive governments have failed to close the gap between rich and poor. South Africa remains one of the most unequal countries on earth. Corruption has eaten into the criminal justice system so badly that in 2025, President Ramaphosa was forced to set up a formal commission of inquiry into criminality, political interference, and corruption in the criminal justice system. Think about that. South Africa had to investigate its own police and justice system for corruption and political interference. That is not a foreign problem. That is a governance problem. Public hospitals are underfunded. Schools are overcrowded. Youth unemployment has created generations of young men with no economic future. When institutions fail this badly, history tells us what happens: people look for a scapegoat. And in South Africa, that scapegoat is the foreign shopkeeper on the corner. Now let's ask the uncomfortable question. Who benefits from this xenophobia? Because this violence does not erupt randomly. It surges at very specific moments, and those moments are almost always tied to elections and political pressure. Notice that right now, as the 2026 elections approach, xenophobic violence has dramatically escalated. A Ghanaian community leader in South Africa made a very telling observation. The government appeared indifferent to the attacks because it is focused on the upcoming elections. Think about what that means. If politicians can redirect the anger of suffering, unemployed South Africans toward foreign nationals, they don't have to answer for 30 years of failed economic policy. They don't have to explain why 12 million people have no jobs. They don't have to answer for the corruption that has looted state resources. Scapegoating migrants is a political tool. It has been used by governments around the world throughout history. You make people afraid of the outsider, and they forget to look at the person in power. Research published by the Southern African Migration Program puts it bluntly. The scapegoating of migrants in South Africa serves as a politically convenient distraction from deeper structural maladies such as inequality, corruption, and weak institutions. The evidence consistently contradicts the popular myths about migrants driving social strain. Meanwhile, Operation Dudula and groups like them are doing the political establishment a huge favor by mobilizing working-class frustration away from the state and toward the most vulnerable people in society. There is something deeply tragic about what is happening in South Africa. Because this is not just a South African story. It is an African story. The Ghanaians, Nigerians, Zimbabweans, and Malawians being attacked today. Their families, their governments, their ancestors. Many of them supported South Africa during the darkest days of apartheid. African nations opened their borders to South African exiles. African countries sheltered the ANC when the apartheid regime hunted them. African people sacrificed for South Africa's freedom. And today, their children are being dragged from hospitals and told to go fix their country. This is not just violence. It is a betrayal of African solidarity. And it serves the interests of those who have always feared a united and prosperous Africa. Ghana's Foreign Affairs Minister was right to summon the South African ambassador. Nigeria was right to issue warnings. The African Union must speak louder on this. Because what is happening in South Africa today could spread anywhere tomorrow, if we allow the scapegoating of migrants to become normalized across the continent. Let's be clear about what we are saying. South Africa has real problems. The crime rate is genuinely catastrophic. Unemployment is genuinely devastating. The inequality is genuinely scandalous. South Africans are genuinely suffering. But foreigners did not cause these problems. And foreigners cannot solve them. The solution to South Africa's crisis lies in holding its government accountable, in fighting corruption, in rebuilding institutions, in investing in young people, in creating an economy that works for the many, not just the elite few. Burning a Nigerian men's shop does not create a single South African job. Blocking a Ghanaian child from school does not fix South Africa's education system. Dragging a Malawian patient from a hospital does not build a single new clinic. It only destroys lives. And it distracts everyone, including you, from asking the real questions. So the next time someone tells you foreigners are the problem, ask them one simple question. If we removed every foreign national from South Africa tomorrow, would the corruption disappear? Would the jobs appear? Would the crime stop? You already know the answer. Share this video. Because the truth matters. And Africa deserves better.